Bill Cressy with Governor's State University is Professor Fraud.
By breaking into the payment system, the bad guys have access to credit card numbers, to expiration dates, to the security code on the back.
This is the hack of the century.
That's the man they call Professor Fraud.
They've yet to, after months, to conduct an arrest. So it could be that there were a number of people who had access to the computers at these addresses. I am known as Professor Fraud.
Professor Bill Cressy.
It's virtual vandalism. It's the cyber equivalent of getting your garage tagged. However, it's what they said. Somebody screwed up, and it sounds like the bad guys screwed up.
Cressy is a cybercrime expert who's known as Professor Fraud.
For security concerns and worries about identity theft, the man to reach out to is Professor Fraud. That is William Cressy.
This affected a lot of people.
Says the man known as Professor Fraud.
Stolen credit cards are often used to buy concert tickets and sporting event tickets because there's such a strong secondary market.
A business fraud expert watched tonight's meeting.
I study fraud for a living, and this is a classic case where there was a breakdown in the most fundamental controls over an institution that would prevent frauds from occurring.
But I got an expert here, William Cressy, who is Professor Fraud, and he says there is no good news, bad news. It's all bad news,
It's bad news, because not only did they infiltrate the healthcare system and the computers there, but they got the Social Security card. And the Social Security card is the key to the kingdom to an identity thief. With that, they can apply for credit cards, they can apply for online loans, they can do any number of terrible things to you and your credit rating because of that Social Security number, in addition to the name and address.
The experts like Cressy, the man known as Professor Fraud, say it's easy for thieves to use the technique known as phishing.
Cressy, also known as Professor Fraud.
Yes, so this
take precautions.
This gives us good reason to bring in Professor Fraud. His real name is William Cressy.
So here to explain this all in detail and teach us how to protect ourselves otherwise is friend of the show, Bill Cressy, better known as Professor Fraud from Governor's State University. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. It's great to be back here on the show.
It's always good to see you.
Well, but I've been busy because fraud never sleeps.
Right.
And I've always got new types of frauds that the bad guys come up with to separate us from our money.
That's right, Professor Bill Cressy, as known as Professor Fraud.
Here's the cyber expert who calls himself Professor Fraud.
All they probably can trace it to is the particular computer, not who exactly was the person who was using it.
Among the victims of the scandal, actresses Olivia Wilde, Anna Kendrick, Amber Heard, and Jennifer Lawrence, who reportedly broke down when being interviewed by the FBI.
I am known as Professor Fraud.